Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. Citizencon Direct has come and gone, so today I would like to briefly run through what we saw and share my thoughts on the event. As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Thank you all so much for the support. Cannot do this without you guys. It is truly appreciated. So, the 2.5-hour Citizencon Direct event has finished. There was a lot of very exciting and interesting things shown off, but also some features that I was desperately hoping to see, but didn't. So today I would like to give a quick overview of what we saw, what is set to release when, and my overall sentiment on the show. Also, in celebration of CitizenCon, GameGlass is doing a special 20% off discount until the 11th of November. So if you would like to convert your phone or tablet into your ship's dashboard, like this very cool Aegis Shard, be sure to follow that link in the description and make sure that you use the code SMB2955 as shown on screen here and in the description, and any sale made does directly support my channel with a direct kickback, so a big thank you to anyone who has done so already. Now, over the next couple of weeks, I will be spending more time breaking down what we saw at Citizencon Direct into individual videos, delving deeper into the features, plus on stream on Monday, likely today if this video goes out on time, I will be recapping the event, watching it together, pausing and talking further about what we saw, what it all means, so do keep an eye out for that. You are all more than welcome. Now, overall, I loved the show. My biggest hype feature was the Genesis Planet Tech and what it is going to provide for Star Citizen's worlds. Not only is it just visually mind-blowing, but it helps to drastically speed up the rate at which systems can release, while future-proofing it for upcoming mechanics like base building and farming and so much more. Plus, as they say, they're not done there. They will continue to update this tech with more biomes, both known like Earth biomes and alien worlds as well, but it will also just make a lot more sense with spawning rule sets being data-driven, meaning the worlds are realistic. You will find minables where you would expect to, and vegetation and creatures living where you would expect to as well. Again, I will speak about this segment in a lot of detail in a separate video with what it has to offer and how it will just completely enhance Star Citizen. It was my favourite bit of the show and it got me very excited, so do keep an eye out for that. Now, what I was pretty disappointed about with this show was just the lack of information on base building and other features. I was desperately hoping to see how they have progressed with base building, the same for the signature system and the radars and scanners, hacking and things like that, but I did go into this knowing that a 2-hour live stream will not give them enough time with all that they could potentially talk about. There was bound to be a lot of features that would just not get a mention. But of course, that does not mean they are not heavily in development. They are. They just didn't have as much to talk about at this time, or, for example, like engineering, there's not much more to say, they're just trying to get it into the tech preview. Anyway, with that said though, we will take a look at what we saw. Again, just a sort of brief overview of what is expected to come when with the end of the year, going into next year. And firstly, let us cover the big first reveal of the event, which is that the Nyx system will be making its first appearance in Alpha 4.4 next month, which is November. Now, this will only include Levski, the Glacium Belt, and the Kiga Belt. Its 3 planets will not be in the initial release and will roll out in subsequent patches next year. But Nyx 1, as we saw, will be the first planet to use Genesis, with this tech rolling out to Stanton and Pyro's planets later on as well. Coming in 4.4, so in November, we will have the new Welcome to Nyx mission, which will take players to this huge abandoned logistics station that has come back online for some reason, and you are sent in to find out why. Now, this station is to be made up of multiple facilities, like additional asteroid bases, debris fields, a Polaris, for players to spend time learning about who lives there, exploring the locations, and why the Vanduul are attacking them, which is a very nice touch. It will also be a mission that you can repeat more than once. You can do and find new stuff. I'm not sure how, but I'm glad to hear this. Plus, players can explore it in their own way, how they please, and this mission can be continued on or held off as and when you want to go and come back to it. So basically you can hop in, go and explore and see what you can find, either solo or with friends I suspect. If you need to leave at any point, you can do so. You can log out. You can then come back in when it's at a time convenient to you and pick up from where you left off. Not just that, but of course, as mentioned, the Vanduul will be finally making an appearance in the persistent universe. Unfortunately though, I feel like they spoiled way too much of what this mission has to offer. Same with all the other missions really. They went to town with filling us in with all these different secrets that I would have rather kept secret. Like who's inside and what happens when. Discovering it for ourselves. But, as they did say, there is plenty more that they have kept secret, so we will see what happens. Now this is what to expect for 4.4 so far. A new system, albeit planetless to start with, but plenty to explore while we wait for the rest of the content to roll out. And I'm sure that there will be many more features to come with 4.4 once they update the roadmap. Now beyond Alpha 4.4, they will be bringing interstellar hauling, meaning cargo hauling jobs taking players through all the systems and not just stuck within one. And this will cater for all cargo types, regardless of whether you're using the hull C or a cutter, jumping from system to system, picking up jobs en route, and dropping them off wherever they need to be. It'll also include time jobs and jobs that could lead to potentially being intercepted by pirates, so a lot of great opportunities for haulers, and with this tech now allowing jobs to go from system to system, this should expand to more mission types as well. They also spoke about another mission type coming to Nyx post 4.4, which is called Rock Cracker, where there will be an abandoned breaker station deep within the Kyber Belt, and these spots, which were used to break open chunks of asteroids and mine the lucrative minerals inside them, have since become abandoned and offer a lot of potential for players. Again, this could either cater for solo explorers, solo miners, groups of players, groups of miners. Firstly, though, you will need to get inside, which appears that there may be a few methods of gaining entry, and once you are inside, you could just choose to mine the internals of the asteroid deep within its bowels, fill in your pockets and then getting out of there, or maybe trying to fix up the main laser and get it working again, which they said will need to be done in stages to bring parts of the facility back to life and then kickstart the engines to power up the laser. Although he did say that if you choose to do so, it will likely alert others to your presence that this is back online. He did say by way of as a beacon, but what I think he means is basically it puts out that much power that your signatures will be just off the charts and people will see that one of these breaker stations are back online. And if you want to go and explore and check out why, you can do so. Now, in these stations there will also be NPC squatters or outlaws living there who may want to try and stop you, so I do love the idea of either going in as an org and clearing it out, taking control of it, kind of similar to what they spoke about with owning factory nodes and holding these places way back in the day. You could essentially take one of these spots and permanently control it, fending off others who may want it or just living your days out there. But it would be so cool to go in as an org, clear it out, splitting up to get each part of the station back online, and then eventually powering the laser, cracking it open, and mining all the goodies inside. Or on the flip side, stealth your way in solo, looting and mining and getting out without alerting anyone. Such great potential here, and again, just like Hathor and Lazarus, these are permanent locations that can be visited whenever you want, and likely hold some very rare or hard to come by resources, which is going to be very important when crafting comes along. So a great little location to have fun with and come and go as you please. They did say that this was just a small look at what is coming over the next 12 months, and in addition to this there will be new missions tailored to the People's Alliance, events that tell stories covering all 3 star systems, and the new planets of course, with a whole host of ground-based points of interest, settlements and structures, some of them inhabited by those who are just trying to make their way in the verse. So a great start for 4.4, and then all of this potentially coming over the next 12 months, not to mention there will be plenty more stuff. Now from here, we went to John Crew and the ship teams to talk about the 3 new ships that are being released, being the Vanduul Stinger, the Anvil Paladin, and the Graze Skiv. All 3 I will speak about in separate videos and not here. I will say though that the potential for more of these chop shop vehicles will be huge. So many options for future editions, and I do like the look of the Skiv, but for me, the Paladin really stole the show there. Now, after the ship update, we heard about some new weapons coming to the verse, being a new rocket launcher which cannot aim and fires 3 taped together grenades. It feels a bit more like a Fallout weapon. Also, a 50 cal LMG, which is going to be very satisfying to use, I feel. Hopefully we can get some bipods, or the ability to rest and stabilize our weapons like we see in Armor and Battlefield. If anyone from CIG is listening, please pass that information on to the FPS team. We all need to be able to either bipod our weapons or stabilize them. Plus, there was an unusual AK-style firearm that can alternate between firing ballistics and energy. So 3 very interesting additions that are representing weapons that are fashioned in the frontier rather than manufactured by a company. And just like we see with the Shiv, this chop-shopped cutlass, I am sure that we will see many more types of weapons built by those who are living on the frontier systems with limited resources, things to travel around and collect and sell or trade or keep. But the best bit of this whole weapons segment was how they're introducing a rangefinder. Finally, we will have something along the lines of binoculars or monocular. This has a 10 times zoom and night vision capabilities and attaches to your utility slot on your armor, and is available in the PTU right now for testing, and I think you can buy them from in-game shops right now for about 2,000. Very happy to see this. Cannot wait to be a sniper spotter. Now, moving on to crafting. I was very happy to see that crafting was mentioned, albeit very briefly. This is kind of how I would love to have heard about all the other aspects that they're working on, but the takeaway here with crafting is that they want to get crafting into the tech preview before the end of the year for us to test and provide feedback so that they can then go away and refine it. And this first test will be just focused on FPS weapons and armor to begin with. It will also bring the new material quality levels and the new UI, which we don't see yet. We only see the developer's version of this. The tech preview tests will provide players with a small amount of blueprints to use, with other blueprints being obtainable through missions. Now, what this potentially means is that if they can get it into the tech preview before the end of the year, it will likely be quite a small and very basic test for a small duration of time to help give them feedback on the general basic functionality of crafting. Do not expect crafting to release this year. Most likely it'll come in 2026, and I'm sure there will be more tech preview tests with crafting in 2026, but it hopefully will start this year, allowing us to provide feedback and get a bit of a hands-on. The other cool aspect here is that these fabricators will be purchasable in shops and can be brought up in our hangars or placed in our ships. So essentially you could literally have a crafting station, a dedicated crafting area in your hangar, or you could throw it into your ship, travel around, land and live wherever you want, collecting resources, crafting away, or having other players bring you resources to help craft. Eventually, we will be able to have them in our homes, of course, but this will be a great feature that I look forward to watching evolve, and hopefully they can get it into the tech preview before the end of the year. We know they are still awaiting to get Vulcan complete and moved out of the tech preview. They want to get engineering into the tech preview as well before the end of the year. I can see them potentially pushing out crafting first for a short duration of tech preview testing, and then moving on to engineering for a longer duration test, but that's just my opinion. There is a potential that they won't get either out this year. We'll see. Now, the next segment was speaking about instancing, and is actually one huge addition that will be one of the most important ways of providing lots of content to cater for all players of all types, regardless of whether you are a solo player, whether you're in a huge org, whether you prefer PvE or PvP or both, industrial or combat. Instancing missions will create tailored content for all players to enjoy and offer various experiences that can be played in stages as well, allowing players to progress through at their pace without getting interrupted. It could even be just a party-like event where players can join other players for fun, or heavy PvP high reward content. Basically, it can provide anything and everything, whatever we need, whatever we want, and whatever CIG want to do. Now, this obviously will not be replacing the open world sandbox MMO gameplay. It will complement it, it'll work side by side, and basically offer players those more tailored options as and when they want them. Now, I personally love the sound of this. At first, when they started talking about instanced missions last year, I wasn't sure, but the potential here is pretty amazing, and I am so excited to see just how this gets used, what types of missions we could see from, the social kind of gatherings, industrial or combat. So much can come along, and some days you might just want to head into a facility and repair it at your own leisure, or exterminate a few pests. Other days you might prefer to join up with a squad and go hunting or delving into the depths of, say, ArcCorp. Now, to start with, the Siege of Orison will be the first instanced content coming next year, which will support up to about 15 to 20 players and can be done in a public lobby with random players or set up as a private event with your friends, and they will also explore many other options here for this event. And then beyond that, they are also working on the Levski Municipal Works, which was originally stated to come at ArcCorp first, but rest assured, I am sure that they will still bring that instance tech to ArcCorp in some fashion, likely in the same fashion, but with more ArcCorp related or Stanton related missions. My guess is that they just decided to push it to Nyx first to help flesh out the system with content. But as you go into these areas, there will be various jobs, taking on outlaws, repairing sections, restoring life support, and the best bit is, as said, it is all saved progress. So if you go so far in and then you need to log out, you can come out and then pick it up from where you left off next time and just keep going back and forth as and when you want to. So huge potential here, as we could see all manner of missions, catering for everyone, and as we see everyone in the community asking, we want more PvP missions, we want more PvE missions, we want more solo missions, we want more industrial missions. This is one strong way of catering for everybody. Now, from this point, we spoke to Rich Tyra, who updated us on 1.0 and its plans. Basically, the plan hasn't changed. They are still heavily working towards this 1.0 goal, with each patch, he says, getting us closer to it. The points of interest they add are permanent locations that will provide missions, locations, and content. They are working more towards voiced mission content with characters behind the voices, but they also want to reintroduce the physical characters, starting with Recco Battaglia, who will be found at Nyx, and introduce a two-way conversation system for NPCs by introducing dialogue from the player. Now, I believe he doesn't necessarily mean the ability to physically talk to the mission giver here, more have the option on how you want to respond. I could be wrong, as they have said they eventually want us to be able to have the ability to physically talk using VoIP to NPCs, but I think what they're saying is giving us multiple choice responses, which could dictate where we end up. But when you consider 1.0 is to have this huge overarching storyline that is intended to introduce the player to every aspect of the verse and what they can do in the verse, while telling this deep story culminating in the player earning their citizenship, all of this work and content that we see from them this year and going into next will help move towards that. They will learn more about the best ways to do it, and it will get us closer to that goal. They also want to stick closer to the current cadence of releases from this year going into next, meaning more regular patches and content drops versus every 3 months, which is what it used to be. Which I am very happy to hear about. Personally, I really hope that they can get their long-term persistence tech to properly track and keep stuff between patch releases. Losing items that we bought or salvaged or earned in-game is very annoying every time a new patch rolls out. And I would also love to get back to doing the off-grid stuff, especially with Nyx 1 on the way, but not having all of my stuff reset and sent back to my main landing zone when every patch comes out would be a blessing as well. But at the same time, this is an alpha, this is stuff that we are having to deal with while they get closer to 1.0. Eventually they will get there, and it will all be reset for 1.0 anyway, but it would be a huge quality of life improvement if they could get that sorted. Also, a little tidbit that I found quite interesting was that they originally wanted the Apex Valakar to be a part of this Hathor mission, where it bursts out of the ground once that orbital laser was fired, but due to the lack of quality and it not reaching the sort of quality bar that they wanted, it was removed. So they do want to get that in, which would be very cool, and hopefully this means finally seeing these creatures not just hidden away as, I suppose, boss fights right now, but actual fauna that you will find roaming in the verse that are dynamic to the verse and found in places where you would expect to see them. Rich also mentioned that some features that are heavily in the works in the background and coming very, very soon, he says, include FPS radar and scanning, crafting, engineering, and the new quantum travel. And as much as he would have loved to have released more of this stuff this year, he thinks the decision to improve what we have first was the right decision. And I personally completely agree. What we have now in terms of what we're playing is incredible, and it works so much better. The fact that we can get, 35 people, maybe more, fighting an org, fighting random people as we were trying to mine the Hathor cave, that was phenomenal. And the fact that it is possible now is testament to how much work they have done to improve what we have. And so I suspect going into 2026, we will see all of this new stuff start rolling in while continuing to maintain what we have. And hopefully it'll be a perfect mix. Now, Rich sort of finished off by saying that every decision they make now is moving Star Citizen towards 1.0, so this could mean that some decisions they make might seem a little odd with where the game is currently, but it is all part of getting us to 1.0. He also said that every ship and vehicle will have its purpose and role, no ship will be useless, and all vehicles will have content for them. And right now they are currently working on more robust mining and salvage missions, and they will also be working on refueling missions. So very happy to hear that this is the plan, and I expect we will see this evolve more in 2026 as well. And then the final thing that we saw was this new instanced PvE fleet battle called Tactical Strike Groups, which is set to release mid next year. Now, if I'm honest, when we were ramping up to this final segment, I was expecting it to talk about base building, and I was a little disappointed. But after watching this, I am extremely excited for this mission, which I am sure you have all realized is essentially the Death Star mission with trench runs and boarding and taking it down. It is going to be hella cool, and as an org, we are already thinking and planning about how we can prepare for this mission, what training we can do to get ready for it. And although it is not until mid next year, it is something that is going to be very exciting to take part in. But, as with everything in this video, I will speak about most of it in a separate video at a later date, but that was Citizencon Direct. All in all, I was very happy with it, and from what we saw, my confidence in Cloud Imperium games getting 1.0 to us is through the roof. And I am so excited to be experiencing everything that will help us get to that point along the way. This year has been great fun, and with the partial Nix system release coming before the end of this year, it'll keep me more than entertained as myself and our org will get up to all sorts of stuff. And then moving into 2026, continuing this intention of keeping what we have more playable and stable while also rolling out so much content and features. It is going to be a heck of a year, especially if planets are going to look like that. There are certainly a lot of things that I was hoping to see shown off at this year's event that weren't. As I say, base building being the main one. But again, I knew with such little time, it would be impossible to hit every single thing that I wanted an update on. But what we did see, I was very happy and surprised about. With that though, there is plenty more to discuss. And as mentioned, more videos covering the event to come. If you do enjoy my videos, please do consider subscribing and helping the channel to grow. Also, hit the thumbs up if you don't mind, it does the channel a big favour, and tick that notification bell if you would like to be notified when my videos go live. Again, a huge thank you to my patrons and channel members. Thank you for your support, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.